Now, I love what you said about the collective outrage necessary to change a rule, because a lot of the quirky, weird rules in the NFL don't get changed because, number one, there's never collective outrage. And number two, one thing I've detected over the years of covering the sport and talking to people involved in it, when someone gets burned by a bad rule, someone else benefits from that bad rule. And the team that gets burned by it in this weird sort of warped way just files it away and thinks, next time the football gods will apply that rule in a way that helps us. It's a 50-50 proposition. That brings me to the rule you mentioned earlier, and one of the problems and issues with the Vikings last night, the turnovers, and the one that happened, not because the Eagles successfully recovered possession of the football. The Eagles did nothing to earn possession of the football. That's why I continue to have a problem with the rule that if you fumble the ball in the field of play and it ends up going out of the end zone, either along the side or in the back, the other team gets possession, not at the spot of the fumble, mind you. They get it at the 20. And it all flows from this outdated thinking about the sanctity of the end zone. Did you know, Peter, there was a time where if you threw an incomplete pass and the ball landed in the end zone, the defense got the ball at the 20? So that's the mindset that fuels this idea. And Chris Sims disagrees with us vehemently. He views that end zone as sacred territory. He calls it North Korea. And if you fumble the ball into North Korea, you're not getting it back. I guess the other example would be like you hit the ball over the fence to the mean neighbor's yard. Once it's there, it ain't coming back. That is warped and twisted and outdated for today's game. Because if that ball that came out of Justin Jefferson's hand, I saw talk last night, oh, hey, don't reach the ball forward at the goal line. He wasn't even trying to reach it forward. It just popped out of his chest as he was possibly trying to reach it forward. If that goes out of bounds on the green, the light green side of the pylon, it's the Vikings' ball at the spot of the fumble. But just because it goes over the pylon, past the dark green end zone, the Eagles get it at the 20. I mean, at a minimum, if you're going to change possession there, give the ball to the defense at the spot of the fumble. Why do they get it at the 20? It's just nonsensical. It could roll out of bounds at the 1 millimeter line, and the offense gets the ball at the spot of the fumble. But because it goes that extra millimeter, all of a sudden, defense gets rewarded for doing nothing. They did nothing there. You get the ball without securing the ball. That's what drives me crazy about it. And that won't change until it happens during a Super Bowl. And the 70 million or so people that don't watch it every week and aren't in the weeds like we are start asking questions at the party that they're at. Like, why the hell is that the rule? What that makes no sense at all. And that's the kind of thing that will stir the outrage from the casual fan, if it's ever going to be stirred, to get that rule changed. And I'm not even sure that would change it. That's so baked into football that I don't see them changing it, because everyone who gets burned by it, somebody else benefits from it.
Well, and the other thing is, Mike, those are the kind of rules. What happened last night is going to get everybody. There's going to be a Minnesota columnist who writes about this dumb rule. There's going to be, 43 hours of talk radio talking about this dumb rule. And then you know what's going to happen? Games will be played on Sunday. And on Monday morning,
objects.
Other than probably in my column, on Monday morning, nobody's going to remember what happened. Nobody's going to talk about what happened. It will be over. And certainly, by the time the competition committee gathers at the NFL scouting combine at the end of February, do you think that's going to be a vivid memory or on the tip of Rich McKay's tongue that we've got to fix this in the competition committee? No, and no. And that's why it doesn't get fixed. And Mike, I have always thought if you're not going to fix this rule, the one tweak you can make in this rule is exactly what you just said. Where Justin Jefferson lost possession of the ball, okay, and where that ball ceased being a part of Justin Jefferson. The rule could be simple. At that point, wherever that point is, that is where the Philadelphia Eagles take over. So in other words, you give the Eagles the ball at the in essence, the 2-foot line. And now, all of a sudden, it's a little bit more egalitarian. And it's a little bit more of what real football should be, rather than you get a free... It's like, Mike, you ever play Monopoly and at the beginning of the game you put $500 in free parking, and whoever lands on it, you know, they get that money. And anytime you have any sort of penalty in the thing, you have to put your money not in the bank but in the middle, and then somebody who lands on free parking gets all this money. It's like you didn't do anything to earn it, but you still get it. And that's exactly what happens right now. And to me, that would at least allow the defense, okay, whether the defense did anything to create that turnover or not. And you could argue that they did a little something. They tackled them. Maybe they forced the fumble, whatever it is. But if you did this, you would create a scenario where now, okay, you give a reward to the opponent for the guy fumbling in the end zone. However, on the other hand, you don't give him everything. You don't give your opponent everything by giving him the ball at the 20-yard line and having an easy new series, relatively speaking. So the only way to even slightly even this out, I believe, is to give the opponent the ball at the spot where the fumble took place.
And you hit the nail on the head as to why this will subside. And look, this isn't a pro-Vikings take on my part. I am on the record. It's a chapter in my book, Playmakers, about how it's the worst rule in football. This isn't selective. Whenever it happens, it drives me crazy because it makes no sense and it doesn't fit with the modern game of football. But, Peter, this is one of the hidden benefits of playing football Thursday, Sunday, Monday, and why I think eventually Tuesday, Wednesday. It's not going to be the main reason. Money's going to be the main reason. But when you have another bright, shiny object, it takes the attention away from whatever it was that happened in that last game that everyone's talking about. And that's why it's going to take it happening in a Super Bowl, because there is no next bright, shiny object. And a couple of weeks after the Super Bowl is the scouting combine where they sit down and talk about these things. So if there is an avalanche of criticism, if casual fans and general columnists who cover all sports are writing these pieces ripping this ridiculous rule that makes no sense, that's the kind of thing that's going to get the competition committee's attention and get Rich McKay, who notoriously doesn't want to change anything. At times, yes, maybe, but the first position for Rich on most of these is, well, let's take a look at it. Well, we need to talk about it. Well, we need to think about it. And they are concerned about unintended consequences, but it's never going to happen until it takes a Super Bowl away. It influences the outcome of a Super Bowl because it's going to give a Super Bowl win to somebody else. That's the problem. Unlike the quarterback push from behind rule, which is only primarily benefiting the one team that is taking full advantage of it, this other rule benefits all teams at some point or another because everyone that gets burned by it is complemented by everyone who benefits from it when it does happen. And the coaching point is, and look, this is the Derek Carr problem because he did it twice, reaching out with the ball near the goal line. You have to understand, you just don't do it. Just take the first and goal at the 1. You don't have to make the superstar play because if you lose possession of that ball at all, you're screwed. And that's how coaches need to communicate it to their players until the rule is changed. If the rule is ever changed, and I don't think it's ever going to be changed because the chances of it marring the outcome of a Super Bowl, grand scheme of things, since there's only one of those games a year, pretty slim. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.